India is a ship that's gonna fly. India is a country that's growing. By 2029, Ray predicts, and there's a lot of scientists predict, that neural networks or deep learning or AI would be better at everything that we do. Everything. So what will we do in this case? We will have brain implants. We will have implants in our body to, connect us to the technology and make us even more powerful.
People that are left not into getting into AI, right? Do you think they will be left behind?
Think about it this way. So when electricity came out in 1800s, right? I don't know if you guys have watched the movie Prestige. So the effects of that can still be seen in continents that did not have electricity. You can still see that in India, a village that does not have electricity and a village that has electricity, right? Extrapolate this effect to AI, exact same effect. Although AI will be 10 times more worse. Average Indian wants to grow, an average Indian wants to do something, an average Indian wants to make more money, an average Indian wants to work harder.
Cool. I'll start with an introduction. So briefly, I run a YouTube channel, 𝗥𝗲𝗳𝗲𝗿𝗶𝗀, and I've been close for a while. I met him in Paris and in India a while back as well. So we talk very random tech things on the channel. It's primarily, coding education. So it's like a very candid thing, if I'm being honest. I'm not super prepared. Would love to just, know more about what you're building, tech stack, how do you hire, things like these.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah, and some stuff about AI.
Amazing. Can you start with a brief intro about yourself? Love to know more about you.
Sure, absolutely. I'm Kanishk. I'm one of the co-founder and CTO of Binoloop. So a brief intro about myself. I'm actually a mathematics guy. Back I graduated from India, back from IIT Dhanbad in 2017. After then I took a short break and then came to Canada. And since then I've been working on, computational fluid dynamics and then AI. And I tried to merge actually CFD and AI. That's where my love for AI came out from. And then, after that, I worked at a few companies. I worked at PwC, I worked at 𝗟𝗶𝗻𝗀, a couple more startups, and then started something of my own. I think last year around July, August is when we started Binoloop. And since then, it has been a ride. It's been quite adventurous.
Amazing. That's quite a journey. You started from India. How did you move to Canada? Canada? Was it for masters or?
Yeah, that's a very interesting story actually. So I never had plans to move to Canada actually. I never even thought that something like Edmonton existed in the world that could, gauge my attention. But so what happened is back in India I was really solving this equation called population balance equation. So what it does is it basically defines how bubbles and droplets kind of aggregate and combine and merge, and why this is important because a lot of solutions that you see around yourself are not actually mixed. They're not mixed, they're not properly mixtures because like oil and water cannot mix. But if you import enough energy, if you mix them very fast, then they will mix. The droplets become so small that your eyes won't be able to recognize it, and you will get something like a colloidal solution or something like that, right? Like what we see milk. Milk is actually a colloidal solution. It's not a mixture. So back then I was solving it. I was having fun with it. It's just mathematics, right? So when I graduated, I actually had offers from a few universities in the States with scholarship, and but I was super tired, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Every other guy who graduates, right? Basically, we just ran in a rat race, got into IIT, and then after then we are like, I don't know. I'm displaced now. I don't know what to do. So I decided to go join this professor in IIT Mandi, and he's a very interesting person, Gaurav Bhutani. He just basically what he wants to do is just he wants to go to avalanches and go to mountains and maybe just climb mountains. That's all he wants to do his whole life. Amazing professor, right? And I just went with him. I was just working, doing some research with him, and basically solving the same equation. And as things moved forward a little bit, and in year after, one of the professor from University of Alberta actually contacted me, and she's like, "Hey, I love your research. Would you like to join me? I'm doing this similar kind of research, and you can come here, work on it." And I guess that's what happened, and I ended up being in the University of Alberta. And the beauty of it was my whole education, everything was paid, so it was a thesis-based program, right? So So I didn't have to make a second thought. I was just like, yeah, sure, everything's paid for, so why not? There's no risk. I'll enjoy my research. I'll, figure out what I want to do. So that's how actually I ended up in Canada.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and so how long did you work there, and then when did you, I don't know, join the industry before starting up?
Yeah, so I worked. So I came to University of Alberta in 2018. 2018 September, I graduated and completed my thesis defense. I did my defense in like 2021 around May, I guess. Like 2 years and 8 months kind of masters. Like averages between 2 years and 3 years. Like how depends on when you write your thesis. So I defended, and then after that, before actually I defended, I was working as a machine learning assistant an year before I graduated. So I was working with this company, actually a very small company and a startup, to kind of figure out how they can apply machine learning to oil wells. And basically what happens is inside of oil wells, they're trying to extract oil, right? But what happens is when they throw high pressured equipments into those walls, these walls can crack, and these wells can crack, and that's what we call fracking. And that's a bad thing because it can destroy the bed underneath, and it can cause major problems for the cities, for people, for environment, right? So they're trying to figure out how to avoid that with the help of AI and ML, and I was there. I was trying to help them do that with the help of sensors. So I started there. My thesis was also had a little bit of machine learning and AI. We were trying to figure out the parameters for the population balance equation with ML and AI, and then I started working at another startup, 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗀𝗀, as an intern. Then moved up, then went to PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, for I think a year and a half, and then went to 𝗥𝗲𝗳𝗲𝗿𝗲, which was the previous company before Binoloop, a startup.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And what are you guys doing at Binoloop?
Yes. So Binoloop's actually very interesting. So what we're trying to do is basically, in my terms, we are trying to actually make a social impact. If you think about, if you go to passport office every single time, someone's there checking your birthday, checking your name, and matching on all three documents, right? We're just using AI to remove that process, basically. You're trying to, and imagine I apply these process to huge documents, government tenders, right? For example, there's a tender for making a bridge. So we're trying to make sure that with the help of AI, we can reduce the time for evaluation of the tenders and proposals. So government can be faster in implementation, deadlines can be shifted, and with this comes interesting things. For example, you can detect beforehand whether this tender, whether this submission or this proposal is eligible or to be awardable or not, right? So basically, if you do it the right way, you can avoid delays. You can avoid contractors who actually are not there. Basically, they should not be awarded, and avoid any collapse of bridges. As a serious problems can be avoided before they happen. That's
Got
what
it.
we're trying to do.
I just wanted to ask, so who's your ideal customer? Are you selling to governments, or is it like a B2B? Okay,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. So we are actually B2G, so business to government. So our ideal customer is government, but if you can think about, it's a dual use solution. So you can also think about it in this way that, for example, if US government is using our tools, and all the contractor who are submitting the US government would also want to use our tool, because the thing is, uh, the regulations or policies are online. They are available. So it's gonna be same for everyone.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so my question was that the company, you always wanted to start your own company, or it was just the AI hype behind it?
No, I always wanted to actually start my own company. This goes to back in 2016. Uh, for me, the company was never about money. I don't really care about for me, it was like making a legacy, making a difference in the world, or at least affecting million lives if I can, in a good way, in a positive manner. And for me, that kind of what AI provided, and it still is that it has the ability to help me reach the forefront of the technological race, right? So So it was always in the back of my mind. That's why I was never sure. So when I was doing my master's at University of Alberta, I started my PhD and then dropped it. I couldn't do it because I was like, for me, a PhD would be probably a company I start, like work on it for 4 or 5 years, religiously, and just try to make something that could become a legacy. And I'll be able to touch more people because not like being in a silo as if with a PhD. And I'm sorry if I come out wrong. I have great respect for people who do PhD. PhD is extremely hard. It's just I think it's a different solution to a problem that is quite niche, right? When you build a company, you have to be general at the same time, narrow enough to get your ICP.
So I have another question. So do you
Yeah.
think like AI have some limitations, or it will reach a moment and then you cannot go further?
So I talk about this a lot actually in my recent post as well on LinkedIn. I talked about it. I think the thing is, AI is just a tool, like mathematics. If I ask you a similar question, what are the limitations of mathematics? So the limitations of mathematics lie within the physics of the world. Can AI do something that is out of the physics of this world? No. At the end of the day, the ground truth and the governing laws, that is thermodynamics, laws of thermodynamics, laws of electromagnetism. I'm a big fan of physics. I love physics more than AI. And I always will love physics more than AI. So anything outside the ground truth of laws of physics, like for example, with the help of AI, no AI. AI is just a tool to reach a certain conclusion faster. So let's say we're trying to figure out gravity, right? Now people are using AI to have all this data coming out of radio telescopes from different stars, and they're trying to use AI to figure out if we can find something out of it, right? So AI is again just a tool, like maths is a tool. It will never go outside the boundaries of physical and real world, but it has the potential for us to find the answers quicker.
Do you think it'll take away
Yeah.
software engineering jobs?
Absolutely. So, so I was just reading this book, Singularity is Near by Ray Kurzweil. So I was reading it last night, and is Singularity Near? It's a very new book. I think it just came out, I guess, this year. Ray Kurzweil, The Singularity is Nearer Than You Think. So the whole premise is why singularity. So just explaining a little bit on concept on singularity. Singularity is a point in space and time where some point is defined as infinite. So whenever you divide something by zero, you get an undefined value, right? And mostly people say it's infinity because of the limits and again mathematics, right? So basically, singularity is a point where we cannot see further that point. We just don't know what it will be, like black holes. There's a singular mass point. We don't know what exists in there. We don't know. So singularity in terms of AI, and this is something I did a presentation, I think, back in 2023 or two, just to mention like why singularity is something that we should look into, or what is the concept behind it, right? So basically, the pace of technological innovation has been exponential, right? It took us a long time to invent fire, less time to invent wheels, even lesser time to kind of, invent tools, wars, and then even lesser to probably get through wars, right? So the time for inventing things has been reducing every single year. And this can be simply imported by Moore's law. So Moore's law is which defines, the pace of computations, or the number of computations increases by twice every year, right? So now you can see what's going to happen. So the space of technology is reducing. Now we are seeing new things come out every month. We're going to see them come out every single day. Then we're going to see them come out every single hour, every single second. Now what will happen is by 2029, Ray predicts, and there's a lot of scientists predict, that neural networks or deep learning or AI would be better at everything that we do. Everything. Any and everything you can think of. And it's not about software engineering. It's not about, every single thing you can think about, they will be better at us than we think. Now, what will happen then? So basically, it's a very simple thing. Phones were better than us in talking to people or connecting to people. So what will we do? We adopted phones, right? That's the most logical and rational thing to do. So what will we do in this case? We will have brain implants. We will have implants in our body to, connect us to the technology and make us even more powerful. So in 2030s, we will start integrating ourselves. We'll start combining our brain with the new AI capabilities to, give us remarkable performance and efficiency. And earlier, the notion was we will reach singularity by 2070, but now people are saying 2040 or 2045 might be the year by which we reach singularity. So the point with reaching singularity is that humans won't exist after that point. It will be transhumans. Now, again, this is all conducive to the facts that, there is no war. Hopefully, there are no there are no nuclear wars. There is no AI that starts replicating itself, and people die. There's no Skynet. So these are underlying assumptions. But given how the humanity has survived for the last 2,000 years through famines, through plagues, we are survivors, right? Humans are survivors. We're explorers. We're not supposed to be in one place sitting and farming. We have realized that for the 5,000 years. So I believe that my notion is being optimistic. We will survive that. We will reach singular point. And after that, we will enter a world something closer to cyberpunk. Hopefully more ideal and optimistic than dystopian, I believe. I'm a very optimistic guy, so I believe in utopia. So all of our farming, all of our needs, all of our food, beverages, they'll all be taken care by AI. And we will be focusing on something bigger, which could come out to be space age is what I think. And again, we will go back to our roots, which is physics, trying to figure out wormholes and black holes. So space is the final frontier at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah. That's just my
Yeah, reminds me of three-body problem. Yeah.
Yeah, three-body problem is a very interesting problem, but it actually has nothing to do with space. It's just a very interesting problem. So search about this another one problem if you get a chance. It's called Lorentz equations. So the interesting thing about Lorentz equations is that why I fell in love with that equation, because it's complete chaos. And there is no way to solve that chaos. And and three-body problem is kind of similar. So basically in mathematics, we have third order and second order differential equations, which sometimes are unsolvable, right? Even sometimes the first order differential equations they're just unsolvable, like Navier-Stokes equation. And I don't know, I have told this to like millions of people by now. If Einstein, this is literally from Einstein, he says like, if God were to give me two wishes, my first wish would be, tell me how to understand quantum mechanics. And my second wish would be, tell me how to solve Navier-Stokes equations. Navier-Stokes equation basically defines how fluids and waters and literally every gas around you, gas, liquid, solid, flows, right? Like, for example, a lot of people think glass is solid. Glass is liquid, actually. When you're drinking from a glass, it's actually liquid. It is not solid. So you can see the ripples at the bottom of the glass, which are like waves. Why we see that? Because it's flowing down. It's flowing down against the gravity, right? Towards the gravity. So everything, all of those phenomena are defined by Navier-Stokes equation. And some differential equations like Lorentz equation, three-body problem is also another differential equation when three different bodies have gravitational forces intertwined. And you can solve them, and not solve them, but you can create the differential equation very easily. It's nothing more than gm1 m2 by r squared and equating those two on both sides and then just differentiating through it. But the thing is, the solution doesn't exist for most cases. It only exists for certain cases, and that's why you see those beautiful pictures of bodies and different. If you ever see solutions of three-body problem, then you will see those interesting bodies moving in interesting paths, but these are the only stable solutions possible. That's why.
Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah.
So my another question would be like people that are left like not into getting into AI, right? Do you think like they will be left behind?
Think about it this way. So when electricity came out in 1800s, right? I don't know if you guys have watched the movie Prestige. So the effects of that can still be seen in continents that did not have electricity. You can still see that in India, a village that does not have electricity and a village that has electricity, right? The difference is stark. Like you don't even know what the people from village with no electricity are talking about. Like, hey, like guys, this exists, right? Similar effects were seen with internet. Internet came out. People who don't have access to internet don't even have any idea what Western world looks like. They have never seen a picture of what it can be, right? Extrapolate this effect to AI, exact same effect. Although AI will be 10 times more worse. because we are essentially amplifying every single technology around you. It can be 10 times worse too, but it can be 10 times better as well. But it's a gamble on that humans will always want to do things that are better for the human beings. But let's hope that that's a true fact.
Sorry, just switching gears a bit. Seems like you're so interested in physics. I would love to know, what does your day-to-day look like? Like, do you spend a lot of time dedicating as a CTO? What's your role?
Yeah, sure. So as a CTO, I'm mostly earlier when we started this company, I was coding, I was trying to do everything, but then slowly as our team grew, now most of my role is to find people like Harpreet. That's the first thing. Find motivated engineers who believe in my passion, who believe in our company, right? So that's one of the most important jobs actually. And second is to keep people motivated. And the third one is to look after company's vision, make sure everyone's running in the same direction and the things are spearheaded. And the fourth one would be an innovator. Go find new things, or motivate people to find new things, or keep innovating, keep finding new things, keep being at the forefront of that race, right? When especially as an AI company, that's very important. So I think I would consider these 3, 4 as the major functions, but of course there are minor functions as well, like talking to investors, talking to people, making sure things are moving smoothly, finances are accurate, budgeting sometimes, roadmap. Yeah, but in terms of day to day, I guess I wake up and I start and looking at my computer, but I get to solve. I need to solve that a little bit, but I guess that's where I start. Mostly, I start with a stand up. I think we all have a stand up, and then after the stand up, we kind of have one-on-one meetings or kind of like group meetings to understand if there are any blockers, any problems, review the code, kind of like keep things moving forward. If someone has a blocker, if something is needed, then I go and jump in. Basically, I'm only needed where things are going wrong. I'm not interrupting things that are moving smoothly, because that's what making a company is basically. But yeah.
And a lot of meetings.
And a lot of meetings, which is another blocker. I'm trying to cut them down. Like, I want to reduce more and more meetings. Like, guys, I want to give you guys time to do work, and
And you started the company recently, so like, how has this transition been? How difficult was it for you to learn this, or is this like an acquirable skill, being a CTO versus an employee?
I think being a CTO, definitely an acquirable skill. Starting a company, if you're starting without passion, motivation, please don't. I mean, and this is not me, there's a lot of founders say, and this is a famous statement from Elon Musk, starting a company is like eating glass and looking into abyss. So it's like eating glass and always looking into despair. Because as I mentioned, I'm not needed where things are moving smoothly. So I'll always feel that the company is going to shut down the next day because there are so many wrong things going on in my company, right? Eating glass because you never get to do what you're good at, because the people you hired are pretty much good at doing what you are, because you hired good people for it, because you know what it means. So you're only looking at them doing the job you wanted to do. So so that kind of sucks, right? So starting a company, yes, very tough. So if someone comes and says like, oh, I feel like I'm going to start a company really great, it's going to shut down in the next 3 to 6 months. Talking to investors, and I think the toughest part is making someone else believe in your passion, right? That's something, yeah.
So, what would be advice you would give to someone comes to you and said, "Hey, Kanish, I want to start a company." What would be any advice you would give?
I would say if it's just for he's just thinking about it. My first advice would be, are you really, really passionate about it? Are you sure that no matter what happens, you're not going to quit? Because resilience is the most important quality a founder can have. Everything else is secondary. Coding, you don't know something technical, doesn't matter at all. Resilience, your ability to keep moving forward irrespective of whatever happens, right? Do you have that ability? If you don't, then, and if you're gonna falter apart in the next 3, 4 months because you don't have money, not having money is not even a problem, I would say. There are bigger problems than that. So do you care about those problems more? Like the problem you're trying to solve? Because if you're trying to make money then trust me, company is not the place to make money. And most founders will tell you that it's an illusion of money, not real money. It's you should have, like, if you're starting a company, you want to have great motivation, great passion. You want to have compassion as well, so you can lead, or you want to develop those things, right? But my advice would be make sure that the problem or the company you're starting on, you are very, very motivated on it. Like no matter what, you would, you know, wanting to keep doing that. And that's the kind of thing that I would say is very important.
Uh, yeah, so I had a question, but I forgot it. Uh,
Oh, you
Never
forgot.
mind.
Let me
Yeah.
let me
No
think of
worries.
one. So you hired from India and Canada. So would love to know just generally, what's the difference in attitude on an on-site engineer, offshore engineer, uh, if you're willing to share,
Mhm.
what kind of experiences do you have?
Absolutely. So I can be a little bit blunt, but also I'll try to be a little bit diplomatic, not to hurt people and not to hurt people's feelings. uh, Vast difference. India is a ship that's going to fly. India is a ship. India is a country that's growing. And I think this is the biggest problem with developed economies. If you see Europe, kind of similar problems we are seeing, right? And Japan is trying to navigate that too, and has been trying to navigate for quite some time. And now they have come up with reduction in interest rates, trying to, motivate people. So I think this is, I believe, just human nature. If I don't have to work, I'm not going to work. There are very few people who are passionate, motivated, cannot sit to the side, right? So very different attitudes, and that's why we have preferred hiring people from India because they're just very, very motivated. That
Makes a
makes
lot
sense.
of sense.
Yeah, I think that's
Besides,
like
sorry,
same. Uh, yeah, I think
go ahead,
like
please. You were
that's
saying.
same for Europe. Also Europe like have the same
Yeah.
mentality, like work 8 to 5, work 8 hours and go home, sleep. So yeah.
Super interesting. So are you seeing a lot of reverse migration happening? Are people moving back to India? Do you have plans of moving back to India?
I do actually, but I do see a lot of reverse migration. But my plan is to basically, if I have the ability to capture both markets, basically US and India, that's basically I can make way more impact on way many people, right? So that's my ideal scenario. So we are looking into moving the company to states whenever the time is right. Like it also has to be a very strategic thing. So we are still in discussion. We're trying to figure out like how things will be. But absolutely, like having, but this is not against your short because Canada is a wonderful country as well in terms of, benefits and R&D credits we get and all the other benefits we can get here are also immense. So there will have to be a choice and a decision we'll have to make. But India is of course very close and dear to my heart because I was born there, right? Like basically. So of course, and the people, I love people in India. I can associate with them. The feeling of belonging will never go away, right? I step foot in India and I'm like, yeah, this is my place. This is my home. I know how things work here. Like I don't have to, even though they have changed a lot, but people are never gonna look at me and say like, oh, this brown guy, he's out of place, right? So that will never happen in India.
Yeah.
Maybe they judge me my actions, maybe, but here there's a possibility of that happening, right? So in that way, India is still very close to me, and of course, like lifestyle in India is so comfortable. I have all the time in the world to work on my problems, right? Whereas all the other things are just managed by other people. So that it offers a very lucrative thing for me. But I guess it's also the culture and the mentality is very different, I guess, in India, and that's kind of a hurt. Although I have seen a shift now in Bangalore, some of the bigger cities like Pune, things have changed. But I think we are still, I think, 10, 15 years away from having that honest work culture, honest life where we don't get into people's businesses, keeping away. I think it will take time, but we'll reach there hopefully.
Yeah, my plan is
Super.
also someday to move to India.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh,
Very cool.
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So I have like another
Yeah.
question. You see a lot of people saying, everybody like the AI companies using just the APIs, right?
Yeah.
You see a lot of memes, right? So what do you think
Yeah.
about like these companies? Because there are a lot of companies like that. So like, what's your opinion about that?
So, for example, do you use Facebook? You use Facebook, right? Like Instagram, some social media, right? Where you use some social media. Exactly same scenario. Like, companies using ChatGPT. So they're basically, it's like using social media website. You will get some return for some time, right? And some people who make big as well, some people who are influencers, or some people who have made, so they make it big, right? But they use social media, adding their own input on top of it. So I'm not saying it's not going to be possible, but to make a good living out of it. But again, uh, it's not going to the root of AI. It's you are just applying a tool, right? At the end of the day. So if you're saying you're an AI company by just using a ChatGPT wrapper, that's not accurate. There's nothing wrong with using ChatGPT and making a great business, right? Like maybe there are things that and using AI as a tool to you kind of solve that problem or kind of like reach out to a lot of people with the help of that. There's nothing wrong in that. But marketing yourself as an AI company while using ChatGPT is not accurate. So, for example, if you're using social media, you say social media influencers, right? You don't say I'm Facebook. You don't say that. So that's the difference, right? Like, and that's the difference that should stay there. But people lie themselves into saying that we are an AI company. But yeah, so that's a difference in succinct.
And do you have like any concern about AI?
Well, again, I said I'm a very utopian guy. Do I have concerns against AI? Yeah, I mean, the concerns are starting to spill out, honestly. Like you can see like fake videos, deep fakes, like just going to the lowest level, something that started in 2016, deep fakes and all these technologies that came out. It's just the lowest level of concern, right? Like an average person is gonna have way more trust issues, way more anxiety, and social media is going to make it worse. But are these problems we cannot solve? These are problems we can absolutely solve. There's always going to be a race between good AI and bad AI. But this has always been the nature of the world. Since you have seen World War One, World War Two, you have seen communists fighting against democratic, you have seen Cold Wars, we have seen a lot of things. So this is a genuine nature of the world, right? There's going to be people making good AI and there's going to be people making bad AI. The good part is US is on the good AI side. So all the democratic countries think in the direction that we gotta make good AI, right? So that's a good thing. We don't have any Nazis or actually Nazi AIs who are trying to make a bad AI. It's at least at this moment, I believe. So at least the good AI is in further ahead of the bad AI, and that will always have to be the way. The day it even reaches close, we're gonna have problems. We just got to make sure that that doesn't happen. But there could be crazy problems. But I like to think like, so there's a very famous book again in 1970s. He quotes that in 1970s, one of the very famous economists said that, oh, the third world war is going to be about water. Well, we have enough water than we ever thought. We have enough food than we ever thought. Green revolution, we waste so much food, apparently, right? So humanity has a way of surviving. It just survives somehow.
So I
Cool.
have
Harpreet, you have.
Yeah.
I have one last question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
where do you think you will be like, in 5 years also, Binoloop, the vision, your vision of, yeah,
Bye.
yeah,
Well, we are a small startup. In 5 years, I would like to be a trillion-dollar company, right?
yeah.
But
Nice.
again, it's a lot of factors coming together and kind to understand. But I think the most important one and understanding is that where does our market lie and what impact can we make? Because we have multiple directions. For example, if you talk to Deep, he will, our machine learning engineer, one of the directions that AI is trying to reason now, right? We came up with these beautiful parrots like ChatGPT, which were colorful, but now whatever was coming out of them was just bad, right? I mean, most people don't see it, but when you work with it enough, you start seeing it. So now we are trying to create reasoners, and I think hopefully, if the direction or the industry vertical we are in grows and we have more money to kind of do research into developing those reasoners and then move towards innovators and then organizations of AI, that's the ideal scenario. Like I would really want to be at the forefront of the AI game. But again, it's not that easy, and trying to compete with companies like OpenAI, Cohere, and even new companies coming out like SSI, Elias Skever, he raised $1 billion. So, so I think it's not an easy market definitely to compete in. But I guess the niche we have acquired, we want to acquire more of that niche in the next couple of years. More of its assessment, evaluation, and procurement, build up that pipeline. The more money we get, then we invest in building good AI models, small AI models on edge devices, right? And like Elon Musk says, if you want to come make the company bigger and bigger, you build fancy race cars, then you sell those fancy race cars, you make money out of it. Then you start making economical cars, which every average Joe can use it, right? Once you do that, you start making parts. Once you start making parts, you start mining. You just keep going one level deeper, right? So I guess for us also, if Binoloop grows, going one level deeper and deeper is the idea.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I asked all the questions.
That's all the questions I had to. Thank you so much, Kanishk. This was super insightful.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely. It was amazing. Thanks for inviting me, guys. It was absolutely lovely talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Likewise, and we'd love to have you on for like a part 2, or if you're ever in India, we'd love to meet you as well.
Absolutely, no problem. Would love to.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Harpreet. Thank you so much, Reed. We'll talk to you.
Okay.
Guys.
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Thanks, Kanishk. Bye bye.